and welcome to All of Vanilla Quilt Co. I'm Danae. Today I'm reaching into my stash to grab a long hoarded jelly roll to show you how to make one of my favorite blocks, the 9-patch. The 9-patch block is super versatile and best of all, it's fast and easy to make. The 9-patch consists of 9 blocks that can be any size, but today since we're using a jelly roll, they'll be 2.5-inch square. Let's get started. If you don't already know, a jelly roll is a bundle of fabric strips that measure 2.5 by width of fabric. Most jelly rolls have 40 strips of coordinating colors and prints. And today I'll be using this adorable handmade jelly roll by Bonnie and Camille. Here I have my pre-starched jelly roll strips and background fabric. Pre-starching your fabric is definitely not a must-do, but since I started starching a few years ago, my accuracy went through the roof. I've unpicked about a fraction of the amount of time, and I've just been overall so much happier with the result. But like with so many things in quilting, try a bunch of different methods and then do whatever works best for you. In order to create the classic checkerboard look of a 9-patch, I'm going to alternate my background fabric, the lighter fabric, so that half of my blocks will have the background fabric in the 4 position and half will have the background fabric in the 5 position. Then the same will be true for my jelly roll strips, wanting half in the 4 position and half in the 5 position. In order to avoid, let's say, all the reds from ending up in the 5 position, I'm going to make 2 piles of jelly roll fabrics. One will be cleverly named pile 1, and the other will be pile 2. In this jelly roll, there happen to be 6 reds. So 3 will go into pile 1 and 3 will go into pile 2. Keeping our fabric in our separate piles, we are going to cut all the jelly roll strips from pile 1 into 2 16.5 by 2.5 inch strips and 1 8.5 by 2.5 inch strips. From pile 2, we're going to cut 1 16.5 by 2.5 inch strip and 2 8.5 by 2.5 inch strips. From our background fabric, we're going to cut 60 2.5 by 16.5 inch strips and 60 2.5 by 8.5 inch strips. What makes these 9-patch blocks one of my favorites and super quick and easy is the ability to strip sew them. Starting with pile 1, I'm going to take 2 long jelly roll fabrics and 1 long background fabric and 2 short background fabrics and 1 short jelly roll fabric, and I'm going to sew with the 1/4 inch seam. Our strip set sewn together and pressed toward the dark side. Don't worry if your edges don't line up perfectly because we're going to subcut these and it won't matter in the end. So now we're going to take our first strip, we're going to grab our ruler, and we're going to line up our ruler so that we can subcut these into 2.5 inch sections. I'm using my Stripology ruler today because I think it makes everything so much faster and easier, and it takes the guesswork out of where I'm cutting, but any quilting ruler will work. Once you're done subcutting, you'll end up with 6 units from your long strip and 3 units from your short strip. Because these came from pile 1, we know that our jelly roll fabric is going to be in the 5 position. So we'll lay it out just like this, and then we're going to fold it over and nest our seams together, which should nest perfectly because we pressed both sides to the dark fabric. Pin, and then head to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam. And here we have our cute 9 patch blocks all sewn together with a 1/4 inch seam and pressed toward the middle. Look at those beautifully nesting seams thanks to how we pressed and how we pinned. And now we're going to take the rest of our pile 1 fabrics and do the same thing. Now that we have all of our 9 patches from our pile 1, we're going to reach into our pile 2 and do basically the same thing, except this time we're going to have 2 long background strips and 1 long jelly roll strip and 2 short jelly roll strips and 1 short background strip. And we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam and press toward the dark. Now we're ready to line up our ruler just like we did with pile 1 and subcut our strips into 2.5 inches. We're all subcut here. And now we have, because this is pile 2, we know that our background fabric is going to be in our 5 position. So we can lay out our fabrics. And once again, nest our seams, pin, and head to the sewing machine to sew your 1/4 inch seam on all your blocks. Here they are all sewn together, and this time, since for pile 2, they're pressed away from the middle block. You'll do that for all of your pile 2. Now that you have all your blocks sewn together, you can decide on the layout you want for your quilt top, alternating block 1 and block 2. Here's how my quilt top turned out. You really can't go wrong with this block. Now that you know how to make a 9 patch, you can use it in different ways and different sizes. You can make mini 9 patches for cornerstones. You can make 9 patches using up your scrap fabric. You could even make half the blocks and have a baby quilt top done in no time. If you make a 9 patch quilt, I would love to see it. Tag me at Olive and Elle Quilt Co on Instagram, and be sure to like and subscribe to this channel for more quilting tips, tricks, and tutorials. See y'all next time.